Hi students and friends, welcome to the channel Learn and Teach by Ayaz. In this video, I am going to explain how you're going to answer the questions for IGCSE Chemistry 0620 March 2022 paper 42, which is a extended version. I'm not going to explain the instructions as you already know that you have to attempt all the questions and periodic table is printed in the last in the question paper. Let's begin the paper. Question 1 is about the first 30 elements in the periodic table. Name the element which is 78% of clean, dry air. It's easy, as you know, 78% of clean, dry air is nitrogen. B has atoms with an electronic structure of 2, 8, 1. The answer is sodium. Because if you add these numbers, you will get 11, which is the proton number of sodium. And you know that for any neutral atom, the number of protons are always equal to the number of electrons. For C is extracted from hematite. Hematite is the ore of an iron. So the answer is simply iron. D forms an oxide with a giant covalent structure. In case of D, you know that there's only one element, in fact, non-metals in your syllabus, which makes oxide with giant covalent structure, and that is silicon. E is a gas with the slowest rate of diffusion at room temperature. Recall all the gases from first 30 elements, and these will be N2, O2, F2, Cl2, He, Ne, and Ar. Now calculate their relative molecular mass and atomic masses. You will find that chlorine will be the one with the highest mass, which means that it is the gas with the slowest rate of diffusion. I will do the calculation for Cl2. Its Ar is 35.5. Multiply by 2, you will get 71. F has an anhydrous chloride which turns pink when water is added. It is anhydrous cobalt chloride. It's a salt which turns pink when water is added. So you write cobalt. G has aqueous ions which forms a white precipitate when added aqueous silver ions. Answer is simple, should be chlorine because it is the only ion which gives white precipitate with aqueous silver ions. H forms blue hydroxide which dissolves in water. The answer is copper. Copper gives blue hydroxide when reacted with aqueous ammonia, and it's also soluble in excess of ammonia. For this one, is added to molten iron to remove impurities in the steel making process. You can't write limestone because during extraction of iron from its ore, limestone is added along with the iron ore. Oxygen is added to molten iron to remove impurities. During the steel making process. J is used to galvanize iron. We know that zinc is the element that is used during galvanization. Question number 2, student adds aqueous large pieces of magnesium carbonate MgCO3 to dilute hydrochloric acid HCl and measure the volume of carbon dioxide gas CO2 given off. Add the missing state symbols to the chemical equation for the reaction. It is clear from the question that magnesium carbonate exists in the solid state, so you will write S here. And we know that acid or alkalis exist in the aqueous state. H2O exists in the liquid state, so you write L here. For CO2, you write G as CO2 is carbon dioxide, and it exists in the gas state. Part B. Complete the dot and cross diagram to show the electronic arrangement of the ions in magnesium chloride. The inner shells have been drawn. Give the charges on the ions. You have to show all the outer valence electrons of both magnesium and chloride ions. You will show the 8 outer electrons of magnesium ion with cross and place +2 or 2+ like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In case of both chlorine or chloride ions, show 7 outer electrons with dots and 8 one with the cross, as it is coming from the magnesium ion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put minus here. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put the chart. Part C. Complete the dot and cross diagram to show the electronic arrangement in a molecule of carbon dioxide. Show outer electrons only. This one is easy. You can use dot and, or cross for either oxygen or carbon. Remember this, that a carbon atom needs 4 electrons to complete its valence shell, and each oxygen atom need 2 electrons to complete its valence shell. It means that a carbon atom will share 2 electrons with each oxygen atom, and each oxygen atom will be sharing their 2 valence electrons with the carbon atoms. For carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4. For oxygen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you count the number of electrons for each oxygen atom, it will be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For carbon atom should be 8. It should also be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Part D. The graph shows how the volume of carbon dioxide gas changes with time. Part 1. Describe how the graph shows that the rate of this reaction decreases as time increases. Graph clearly shows that this gradient of line decreases, which indicates that the rate of this reaction decreases. So you write gradient of line decreases. Number 2, explain in terms of particles why the rate of this reaction decreases as time increases. Graph indicates that the concentration of particles of acid decreases. Concentration of acid decreases. Note here that you cannot write magnesium carbonate because it is in excess, and hydrochloric acid is obviously in limited quantity or concentration. And the last statement will be lower rate of collisions of particle. Lower rate of collisions of particles. For 2D part 3, student repeats the experiment using powdered MgCO3 instead of large pieces. All other conditions stay the same. On the grid, draw the line expected when powdered MgCO3 is used instead of large pieces. Remember, powder form have large surface area than large pieces. Therefore, the rate of reaction will be faster. So you will make a new line steeper than printed line like this. Steeper. And the line levels off earlier than printed line levels off at the same volume. Part E. Determine the volume of CO2 gas given off when excess MgCO3 is added to 25 centimeter cube of 0.4 mole per dm cube HCl at room temperature and pressure. This is the reaction MgCO3 plus 2HCl gives MgCl2 plus H2O plus CO2. Use the following steps. Calculate the number of moles of HCl in 25 centimeter cube of 0.4 mole per dm cube of acid. According to the information given in the question, 100 centimeter cube contains 0.4 moles of acid. So I will write 100 centimeter cube contains 0.4 moles acid. Therefore, 25 centimeter cube contains X moles. So the answer will be 0.01. This will be the calculation. 25 multiplied by 0.4 divided by 1000. Next one, determine the number of moles of CO2 gas given off. In next one, you need to calculate moles of CO2. According to the reaction, 2 moles of acid gives 1 mole of CO2. 2 moles of acid gives 1 mole of CO2. Therefore, 0.01 moles gives X mole of CO2 will be like this: 0.01 multiplied by 1 divided by 2. So the answer will be 0.005 moles. Now, in the last part, calculate the volume of CO2 given gas given off in centimeter cube at room temperature and pressure, which will be like this. Very easy. 0.005 multiplied by 25. The answer will be 120 centimeter cube. Question 3 is about nitrogen dioxide. In part A, they want you to explain how nitrogen dioxide is produced in car engine. In your answer, you have to mention about both nitrogen and oxygen coming from air reacting due to high temperature. So the final answer will be like this: nitrogen from air and oxygen from air react. And the second line, react due to high temperatures of engine. In part B, nitrogen dioxide causes respiratory problems. State one other adverse effect of nitrogen dioxide. You have to write any one adverse or harmful effect of nitrogen dioxide. They have already mentioned respiratory problem. Therefore, the other adverse effect will be acid rain. Part C, nitrogen dioxide emissions can be reduced by adding an aqueous solution of urea, NH2, or twice CO to car exhaust gases. The heat of the exhaust gases breaks down the urea into simpler substances. Name the type of reaction which occurs when a substance is heated and breaks down into simpler substances. Now they are asking about the type of the reaction. Answer is very simple, that is thermal decomposition. Thermal means related to heat and decomposition means breaking down of a substance. Part 2, one molecule of urea breaks down to form one molecule of ammonia and one other molecule. Complete the chemical equation to show the formula of the other molecule formed in this reaction. This is the reaction NH2 twice CO gives NH3 plus. Now, one of the product is mentioned here, that is NH3. According to the formula, HCNO is left, which is the final answer. Now, in part 3, you have to write down the test and observations for ammonia. You know the test for ammonia, that is red litmus paper. Don't just write red litmus paper. You have to mention damp red litmus because it will only give test of ammonia if it is damp. Damp means moist or with water. So the final answer will be damp red litmus. Damp red litmus. In the observation, you write litmus turns blue. Part D is about balancing the equation. The ammonia formed reacts with nitrogen dioxide to form nitrogen water. Balance the equation for this reaction. Here's the reaction. Now, the best way to do this question is to make a column mentioning all the atoms. Now, count the number of atoms of each element on both sides of the equation. You'll see that nitrogen is balanced on both sides of the equation. What about oxygen and nitrogen? Oxygen and hydrogen. Oxygen is 2 on reactant side, but 12 on product side. And the hydrogen is 3 on reactant side, but 24 on product side. If we place 6 before NO2 and 8 before NH3, then both oxygen and hydrogen will be balanced. But then we need to balance nitrogen on product side. Simply place 7 before N2. Now this equation is balanced. Part 2 state how the equation shows that nitrogen in nitrogen dioxide is reduced. Very simple. You simply write nitrogen loses oxygen. Nitrogen loses oxygen. Next part, the reaction. This reaction is a redox reaction. State the meaning of the term redox. A conceptual reduction oxidation occur. Simple as that. Reduction and oxidation occur. Now, in E, 135 moles of urea NH2 whole twice CO is stored in the tank of a car. Calculate the mass in kilogram of the stored NH2 whole twice CO. Here, just multiply with number of moles with the MR of urea, which is 60. Answer obtained is in grams, so divided by 100. Divided by 1000 to get the answer in kilogram. MR urea 60, 135 multiplied by 60. Divide answer 1000. You get 8.1 kilogram. Now, part F. Another oxide of nitrogen formed in car engines is nitrogen monoxide, NO. A catalytic converter removes NO by reacting it with a gas formed by incomplete combustion of the fuel. Two non-toxic gases are formed. Part 1. Name the gas formed by incomplete combustion of the fuel. This one is very simple. You know that during incomplete combustion, both steam and carbon monoxide produce. Question indicates that the gas produced must be the toxic one. So the answer should be carbon monoxide. In part 2, name the two non-toxic gases formed. Now they are asking about the non-toxic gas produced in the catalytic converter. So the answer will be carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Now, question number 4. This question is about chemical reactions and electricity. Part A, the diagram shows the apparatus used in the production of electrical energy in a simple cell. You see the diagram. We have zinc electrode on left side, iron electron right hand side. This is a voltmeter, and you have electrolyte. The zinc electrode dissolves in the electrolyte, forming Zn2 plus aqueous ions. Number 1, draw an arrow on the diagram to show the direction of electron flow. So you have to remember the reactivity series. You can remember this. K Karachi, nice, charming, magnificent. All caring. Zinc friendly home. zinc, friendly, chrome, copper, silver, gold, copper, silver, gold. So, so when you zinc, the movement of electron will be from zinc to iron. According to this, zinc is more reactive than iron. So the flow will be like this. Part two, write the ionic half equations for the reaction that occurs when the zinc electrode dissolves. So as zinc is the only reactant here, so therefore it will lose electrons from Zn2 plus ion. So the answer will be like this. Zn gives Zn plus 2 electrons. So yeah. Now this one, part B, the reading on the voltmeter can be increased if either zinc or iron is replaced by another metal. Name a metal that can replace zinc and increase the reading on the voltmeter. You can write any metal above zinc, but I suggest you don't choose metals like sodium, potassium, because they are highly reactive. You can write calcium, magnesium, or even aluminum. For part two, name a metal that can replace iron, increase the reading of the voltmeter. You can add any metal which is below iron. We have copper, silver, gold. Fuel cells are used to generate electricity. Name the reactants in a fuel cell. We know that's hydrogen and oxygen. Name the waste product of a fuel cell, as this hydrogen and oxygen, so the product is water. Electricity can be used to break down aqueous or molten ionic compounds. Part one, name the process which uses electricity to break down aqueous or molten ionic compounds. This one is very easy. We know electrolysis is a process which breaks down aqueous or molten ionic compounds. So you'll write electrolysis. Part two, explain why the ionic compound needs to be aqueous or molten. Recall the idea of free moving or mobile ions for the conduction of electricity. So the answer will be mobile ions. E. Brine is concentrated aqueous sodium chloride. Name three substances which are manufactured by passing electricity through brine. It's very easy. We get hydrogen on cathode as it is higher than sodium in the reactivity series. Chlorine, because high concentration of chloride ion, and sodium hydroxide because of the sodium and hydroxide ion in the solution. Part 2, name a different substance formed when a molten sodium chloride is used instead of concentrated aqueous sodium chloride. Sodium, you'll use molten form, so you'll get sodium. Thanks for watching and take care. Press like and share the video. For more videos, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon.